In the heart of the 14th century, a time when kings and popes fought for power and the world was rife with wars and plagues, a group of people decided to live a different kind of life. They didn't want to be part of the grand battles or the high courts. They just wanted to live simply, work hard, and find peace in their faith. This group, known as the Brethren of the Common Life, was started by a man named Gerard Groote, and their story is both surprising and inspiring. Imagine a world where most people believed that to be truly religious, you had to take a vow and live in a monastery, cut off from the world, but Groote had a different idea. He believed that you could be deeply religious and still live in the world, working and helping others. His vision was simple: live in poverty, stay chaste, and work to support yourself and others. Instead of begging, like many religious people did, Groote's followers earned their living by teaching children, copying manuscripts, and cooking. They believed that work was a way to purify the soul, not just a means to earn money. Groote's ideas were so powerful that they spread quickly. By the time he died in 1384, there were over 100 houses of his followers in Holland and the Rhineland. Interestingly, there were 3 times as many houses for women as there were for men. This was quite unusual at a time when women often had fewer opportunities to pursue religious life. But Groote's ideas were also dangerous. The church, which was very powerful and strict, saw his movement as a threat. They were used to controlling how people practiced their religion, and Groote's followers, who lived without taking vows or following official church rules, were a challenge to that control. Before he died, Groote was even banned from preaching by the Bishop of Utrecht. Despite this, his followers continued to grow and defend their beliefs. One of the most important figures to come from this movement was a man named Thomas at Kempis. Born in 1380 in a small town called Kempin, Thomas was the son of a peasant and a literate mother who ran a school for young children. At the age of 12, he joined a school run by the Brethren of the Common Life in Deventer. He lived and studied there, eventually becoming a member of an associated Augustinian monastery. Thomas spent his entire life there, living to be 91 years old. Thomas is best known for writing a book called The Imitation of Christ. This book became one of the most widely read religious texts in the Catholic world, second only to the Bible. In it, Thomas shares the teachings of Groote and his followers, emphasizing the importance of a simple, humble life focused on inner spirituality. He believed that the world was full of distractions, and that true happiness and fulfillment came from turning away from material desires and focusing on God. He wrote that the path to salvation lies in denying earthly desires and constantly striving to overcome sin. While Thomas's ideas weren't entirely new, his book was incredibly influential. It spoke to the many people who felt overwhelmed by the world's complexities and longed for a simpler, more meaningful way of life. The book's popularity helped the Brethren of the Common Life gain more followers and support, even among some within the church. At the same time, the world around them was in turmoil. The church was divided by the Great Schism, with 2 popes claiming authority, and Europe was embroiled in various wars, including the ongoing 100 Years' War between England and France. In this chaotic environment, the Brethren of the Common Life offered a message of peace and inner calm. One of the key figures in this period was Jean Gerson, a French theologian and scholar. Gerson, though he disagreed with some of the Brethren's doctrines, defended them against charges of heresy at the Council of Constance in 1415. This support was crucial in allowing the movement to survive and thrive. The Brethren's emphasis on individual devotion and voluntary association was a significant departure from the strict, hierarchical structure of the Church. They believed that each person could find their own path to God, without the need for rigid rules or the intervention of clergy. This idea was revolutionary, and in many ways foreshadowed the Reformation that would come a century later. In 1391, Gerson made a bold plea against the use of force in political and religious matters. He spoke at the French court, urging the king to abandon violent means and instead turn to prayer and penitential processions. Gerson's speech was a powerful reminder that the welfare of the Christian community was more important than the power struggles of the church or the state. However, the political landscape was complex. France was considering a military campaign in Italy to support the anti-Pope Clement, but this plan was complicated by the ongoing conflict between Florence and Milan. The Duke of Milan, Gian Galeazzo Visconti, was a key player in this drama. He was married to Valentina Visconti, the wife of Louis d'Orléans, a powerful French noble. Louis had dreams of creating a new kingdom in Italy, but he needed the support of Milan to do so. Jean Gerson, however, was wary of allowing France to become too powerful in Italy, and was careful not to commit himself openly to Clement's cause. Meanwhile, in England, there was a divided opinion on peace with France. King Richard II and his uncles, the Dukes of Lancaster and York, were in favor of peace, while the Duke of Gloucester strongly opposed it. Gloucester believed that the French had stolen territories and funds from England, and refused to make peace until these were returned. The English sent ambassadors to France to negotiate a peace treaty, and the French, eager to avoid war, agreed to the talks. The peace negotiations were set to take place in Amiens in June 1391, but the English, having accomplished their goal of delaying the French campaign, requested a postponement. The talks were eventually rescheduled for March 1392. During this period, the French were also dealing with the Duke of Brittany, who was causing trouble by asserting his independence. The French, eager to secure their flank, offered the young daughter of the King of France in marriage to the Duke of Brittany's son. This arrangement, while it temporarily calmed the situation, did not resolve the underlying tensions. In January 1392, Coucy, a prominent French noble, resumed his duties as lieutenant general in Auvergne and Guienne. He then traveled north to accompany the king to the peace talks in Amiens. The French took extraordinary measures to ensure that the talks went smoothly, including strict orders to prevent any quarrels between the French and English retinues. The English were to be treated with the utmost courtesy, and their expenses were to be paid by the French crown. The parley opened with great ceremony, and the Duke of Lancaster, who was a key figure in the negotiations, knelt 3 times before the King of France in a show of respect. The Duke of Burgundy, a powerful French noble, was dressed in magnificent garments, and the French lords, including Coucy, hosted grand banquets for the English delegation. The talks, while cordial, were ultimately inconclusive, and the peace negotiations were delayed again. Despite the political and religious turmoil of the time, the Brethren of the Common Life continued to grow and spread their message of simplicity and devotion. Their influence extended beyond religious life, touching the hearts of many who sought a more meaningful and peaceful way of living. Thomas à Kempis's The Imitation of Christ remains a powerful testament to their beliefs and a reminder that true happiness often lies in the simplest of things. The story of the Brethren of the Common Life is a reminder that even in the most chaotic and violent times, there are always those who seek a different path. They believe that by living simply, working hard, and focusing on their faith, they could find a deeper and more meaningful life. Their legacy continues to inspire people today, reminding us that sometimes the most revolutionary ideas are the simplest ones.